what's up? This is Odolena from Odolena Digital. Welcome to my channel. Please be sure to subscribe if you're new here. Every Sunday I try to post a video about my favorite topics, books that I'm reading. And today I'm talking about one of the favorite topics, which is Stoicism. If you check my other reviews on Marcus Aurelius and kind of books around Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, you'll find a few other helpful videos. I really like this topic. I find it super relevant, and today I'm talking about a book which I recently read and I kind of really enjoyed. The book is called Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. So who is Ryan Holiday? He's not your typical professor in philosophy. Actually, if you have followed his career in writing, you might have heard of one of his books called Trust Me, I'm Lying, where he shamelessly and very honestly gives you the blueprint of creating fake news. The book was published much earlier than the fake news idea came into the public eye, but basically he kind of uncovered how media works, how popular blogs and news outlets don't really check any facts, and how actually easy it is for someone who is kind of a con artist by heart to create fake news in order to promote products. That was basically his job. Since then, Ryan Holiday made a big U-turn towards Stoicism, and he created several very interesting books. One of them I have here next to me. It's called The Daily Stoic, which is actually a very short daily meditations on famous Stoic quotations. So for every day of the year you have different quotation from a Stoic and a small analysis from his side. So this book, Obstacle is the Way, is again kind of combination of the main Stoic principles and attempt to adapt them to the nowadays world, with a lot of examples, mostly examples from the American history. So if you're not American, you might find some of them not very clear. You might have to Google a few people, but it was very interesting, and the examples were really making sense on when people actually use Stoicism without them being officially Stoics. So the first part of the book is about perception. And when it comes to perception, it is about really understanding that everything that happens around you, everything that happens in your life to you or around you, is actually how you perceive it. This is all it matters, because everything is in your head, and how you react to the situation is entirely your choice. So it might be a situation that's affecting everybody. It might be something that happened to you. Maybe there is now with the pandemic and crisis. And also there is situations that affect you personally, like health issues, like job loss. All these kind of things can happen to you, and very commonly. And everything that depends actually on you, how you perceive this, how do you react to the situation, what do you focus on. Here as an example, I can talk a little bit about my grandfather. So a lot of people born with disabilities actually have very good examples of the perception of the problem and of kind of like being a Stoic. So really, he was born healthy, but at the age of 7 he lost his eyesight. It was before the Second World War. It was he was born in a very poor small village in Bulgaria. And it wouldn't be a great destiny to be visually impaired at this time. So he was sent to a school for blind children, where actually they were taught of all kind of different ways that they can earn their living without needing eyesight, all kind of crafts, all kind of things that they could be doing without using their eyes, and developing other qualities like working with their hands, listening. And for my grandfather, actually what they discovered that he was exceptionally talented for music. And since then he devoted his life really on music. He was the first one in our family to graduate from a higher education from the conservatory. He became classical musician, playing the flute. Some of the most beautiful recordings of flute compositions, they are still kept in the national radio and played on the radio, are performed by him. And also he devoted his life on helping other visually impaired people in Bulgaria, to help them create a normal living for them without the need of eyesight. So kind of overcoming this circumstance, that there is nothing can be done about them, accepting this and changing the perception to what else they could be doing and how else they can have a normal and fulfilled life. So this is an example of sometimes when things happen to you, what depends on you is really your will, your strength, and focusing on what you can actually do about the problem, which is the next part of the book. It's called action. So when it comes to action, this is exactly, let's say, things happen, shit happens, and sometimes very bad shit happens. And it might be your fault, might be someone else's fault, but what you are going to do about it, this is what is important. Blaming others, even if it's their fault, is not going to help you. Hiding from the problem, ignoring, these are the first reactions that you would have when something bad happens to you. Trying to escape, trying to focus on excuses. But this is really working against you, because actually the only thing that can help you now is yourself and taking the right actions. So finding what you could be doing right now, being really pragmatic about it, and focusing on the most important strategic actions to take you out of this mess. It might be a mess, let's say you lost your job. This is something that has happened to me a couple of times. Reorganization and losing my job suddenly. What I would focus on always is, okay, what's next? What could I do? Like, who can I speak to? Where else I can get an opportunity to continue working? And this has worked tremendously well for me, both psychologically and in career-wise. But also it is a mindset that I kind of started developing, which is really embracing that things might not work out as expected. Always think that things can go worse, it gets worse before it gets better. That actually it is normal that things go bad sometimes, and you should not rely on a flawless journey through life. You will always experience the good and the bad and the terrible as well. Then comes the last part of the book, which is about the will. And this is exactly about my last thought, preparing for the worst before it has happened. So this is really the Stoic way of life, and I think this is the most difficult part for us all. Because our natural reaction thing is, when things are going well, we try to enjoy them as much as possible. And then things go bad and we feel terrible. And you might be thinking, well, this should be the case. You should enjoy things while you have them, and then everything can happen, so that's why you have to enjoy as much as you can. Yes, but if you are a Stoic, you want to save yourself this sorrow, this kind of, let's say, if you only focus on enjoying yourself while things are good, you're inevitably letting yourself to grief and to very hard feelings when things go bad. And for Stoics, this is not balanced life. A balanced life is, when things are going well, you have to prepare yourself for when things go bad. And things will eventually go bad, maybe not terribly. Hopefully you don't have to walk the hardest way, but it is possible that you will have to. And how do you prepare yourself mentally and physically is what really helps you in this journey. So things like practicing poverty, imagining that you live with under your means, living with a little bit, maybe switching off the air conditioner or the heating when it's not very comfortable for you, maybe wearing some older clothes a bit longer, maybe going out in a little bit underdressed when it's cold, maybe going out for a run or for sport when you don't feel like doing it. And this is kind of like step by step making you stronger mentally, physically, and preparing you for situations to come. And you cannot imagine actually the miracle that it works on your mindset when you condition yourself to do things when you don't want to do them. People keep asking me, like, how can you make a video every week? And I really struggle with this. To be absolutely honest with you, I struggle with this every weekend. Every weekend I'm kind of like, what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to talk about. I cannot do this anymore. And then I gather myself and just do it. And this is how you kind of condition yourself, and you get to do a lot of more things than you, otherwise you limit your mind, you limit yourself on what you could be doing, and potentially you feel unfulfilled. In business world, this is now often called as the pre-mortem, or anticipating what can go wrong with the project before actually it has even started, assessing the risks and preparing for the worst case scenario. One thing that I really liked from the book was a quotation from something was written on the Delphi temple, where the Delphi oracle lived in ancient Greece. And this is, offer a guarantee and a disaster threatens. So the moment when you're 100% sure that things are going to go amazingly, this is exactly the moment where you should be very careful, as things will possibly go wrong, and things can go wrong, sometimes in a bad way, sometimes in a less bad way, but you have to be prepared for this. Amor fati. This is something that Stoics were saying. Amor fati means love everything that happens to you. Enjoy this whole experience, the good, the bad, the evil. I mean, as much as you can, everything that happens to you. There is nothing that you can do apart from focusing on your actions, what depends on you, and focusing on your perception and strengthening your will, and actually being grateful and even for the difficult parts of your life. Finally, thinking about as a unity. I think that's a very big important part. I think this is something also that helped my grandfather as an example, is that he always never thought about himself as an individual, but always as the whole unity, the whole people. He helped a lot of people, visually impaired people, other people who needed his support during his whole life. Until nowadays, I would meet very old people who would say, your grandfather was amazing, man, like he helped me so much, he did this and this and this. And this is how you're going to be remembered. And also it helps you to channel your energy and to understand that it does not happen only to you. What is affecting you is affecting many other people. And when you focus on relieving their difficulties, helping them cope with things, you forget about your own pain. So, a philosophical meditation this Sunday with this book. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want me to do more videos on Stoicism. Subscribe to this channel if you like this content, and I'll see you with a new video next week.